Hello, Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here, and welcome to the channel, and welcome to Stu and Adam's Premier League end of season review. Hello, Adam, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
I'm all right, mate. We can't get you off the camera, can we? I mean, crikey,
I'll tell you
you're all
what,
over the place these days.
I'm like, who's been on TV quite a lot recently? A bit like probably Leonardo DiCaprio just seems to get in every film. I feel like I seem to get in every live
You're
stream.
on every live stream, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, before we start, I've got to apologise for the lighting. So I've had two bulbs right here, right above me. They've blown. So you're not going to get this like glare off the top of my noggin now, which is So I see you wearing your top.
It looks quite nice, mate. You're giving yourself a bit
of top. The top.
No, the lighting. It's kind of like that. It's very arty. You've got one side of your face is quite dark, and the other side, it's like an arty effect.
Yeah, that's the look I was going for. But no, it means I've got to get two new bulbs tomorrow, so that's a bit of a bummer. Right, before we crack on, let's just say hello to the people in the chat. We've got Des T. Hello, sir. How are you? Nice of you to join us. And we got, I'm guessing this is Martin. Hello, sir. How are you? It's like I've only just seen you. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Keith, how you doing? All right. Nice of you to join us. Thank you very much. What's this? Oh, that's a long time ago. People saying hello. We've got Georgie. Hello. Nice of you to join us. Southern Red and
I was going to be nice about Fulham as well. Not sure I will now.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I'm not got anything bad to say about Fulham, but that could change. What have we got here? Smith Lord speaks. We've got this decent comment here. Waiting for Adam. He's gone for a pee. Oh, sorry about that, mate.
Thanks for that.
We've got G-Force. Hello, sir. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. We've got Kieran Ball. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. Just stroll down. Now, I know this stream isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I totally get that. Stu, are you going to be dressed like football pundits? Like, well, yeah. I mean, we are. We pretty much are like Saint and Greavesy, because Saint was Liverpool and Greavesy was Tottenham, so we could be the modern day Saint and Greavesy. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I guess, but I think they're both dead.
The modern day version. God damn it. Yeah. VTR. See, look at that. Brilliant. Right. So I mean, so I've got to say, I was quite reluctant to do this. What's this?
Yeah, you were.
Hello, Dad. How are you? Very reluctant.
Does that mean Sandra's here?
No, she don't like football. So Dad. You'd have to flirt with my dad now.
I can make that work.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Pack it in. Right, so like I was going to say, I was really reluctant to do this, and it's not because I'm salty in any way or jealous or whatever, or throwing my toys out the pram and stuff like that. It's because I know football can divide opinions, and it can, like Luke Reynolds mentioned earlier, he's not going to be watching because he don't like people, bad mouthing Spurs, which is fair enough. I get that, but so I'm basically opinionated. So these are just my opinions. Okay, so it doesn't mean to say I'm correct or anything like that. It's just my thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. And obviously, you're very much into your stats and stuff. So
I think for me, like, obviously, we've all got opinions, especially when it comes to football. But I think for me, I will try and always relate it back to facts. So even if I have an opinion about something, I always tend to check whether that's based with the facts back that up. So if I think a certain player is the best player around, I will tend to look at the facts and see, well, based on facts, he is or he isn't. So I tend to go that route, but that's just me. So
yeah. So I mean, I can't remember my my predictions for the end of the season, like because we did a mid-season review, didn't we? And I cannot remember my predictions.
I can remember some of them.
But what we'll do is we'll get the table up and we'll have a look.
Yeah, I've got loads of windows in front of me about stuff. So yeah, and that was one of them.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the top.
Six.
What do you reckon?
I think I'll go to six. So the top six, and then just top do. Six, otherwise, it's going to be two sectioned up. Yeah, so,
and then we're going to do the relegation, aren't we? And then we're going to obviously talk about Forest, Everton, and stuff like that. So go on in. We go through the league table. I'll let you go first. Manchester City.
Well, I'm not. I don't think we should necessarily go team by team. By the way, I think I'm going to just talk generally about the top six to begin with. So I'd say Man City. I don't think it's no surprise that Man City come on strong. They're a very good team. Forget all their off the field stuff at the moment. We can talk about that in a bit. But they are a very good team. They've been here many times before. They've won it 4 years in a row. There's not really much more to say than that. You've got to be a pretty good team to beat them. To fair play, I hate Arsenal with a passion. Like G-Force knows this. I always make comments towards him because he's an American Arsenal fan. But for me, Arsenal were really good this season. Like, it pains me to say, and I did at one point think they're going to go and do it, aren't they? They're going to go and do it, and that was like eating me away. In terms of Liverpool, and the rest of the teams in that top six, really, Chelsea snuck in, and Villa, to be honest, had a wicked season. I didn't expect Villa to be where they were. I don't think there's much really more else to say about that top six. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, about that top six.
Well, I remember saying at Christmas time, it wouldn't surprise me, or the mid-season review, should I say, it wouldn't surprise me if Man City go on this unbeaten run. And I think it was 23 games unbeaten they went on to end up winning the league. So that didn't surprise me at all. Arsenal, I've got to say, I think they really kicked on from last season without a shadow of a doubt. I thought they were so a bit, unlucky this season, really. Like you say, you've got to be a decent team to beat Man City. And I think Arsenal pushed them close. Liverpool, I've got to say, hand on heart, didn't expect them to get top three. I didn't expect them to get top four after last season. I thought it was going to be a real struggle. What Klopp did
I was a bit different. I was a bit more confident in your team now. I thought they would come a bit closer. They fell away at the end a bit for various reasons. I think they had a lot of injuries at the wrong time, which every team has. Spurs had some shocking ones before Christmas. But I think personally, Liverpool, I think I was expecting them to finish second or even top.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, how he's changed that midfield in the space of like a short amount of time, he's done a fantastic job there. So they fell away. Aston Villa, I mean, they started off the season. They surprised of the season for sure. I mean, they started off the season getting beat 5-0 by Newcastle, and and then to finish top four. So he's done a great job.
He's got a really good pedigree, though. He's a really good manager. If you could argue, Arsenal got rid of him too early. Because he's a top manager. He's won things wherever he's been. He's a really good manager. I mean, that's a discussion we can talk about toward a bit later on. Is it the are managers given enough time to set their benchmark and to set their way into the team and stuff like that? So I mean, Tottenham, but look at that form guide though. But that was the last few games. I'm not making excuses for it. You know who we played in them last 5 games, though? We played Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. So, like, I don't really look at that and worry too much. However, I think as a team, just speaking from someone who goes and watches them all the time, we look knackered towards the end. Interestingly, though, going back to managers giving enough time, and this is just the case. Sorry, just had to stop there for Sandra. Postecoglou actually got more points in his first season than Klopp and Arteta did at their first seasons at their clubs. Now, so I think, from my point of view, being a Spurs fan, I wouldn't be even suggesting, but obviously there was some quarters that were going, is he the right man for the job? You got to give him more than a year. That's crazy. Crazy.
I mean, you can say the same for Pochettino at Chelsea. I mean, I
felt sorry for him.
Absolutely. I mean, he's had one season. He had practically a whole new squad of players, a totally new team trying to get them to gel. I mean, yes, they had injuries, but to get rid of him after one season, I mean, he's got him into Europe. I mean, I don't think he's done a bad job. I think they were very hasty I mean, so what's the one Arsenal game this season they should have won and really regret? I don't know, Dave.
Well, they lost twice to Villa. So if you want to win the league, you can't lose like home and away to Villa. Even though Villa finished 4th, you can't do that if you want to win the league. And that you just can't. That's where they messed up. They lost 5 games, but if they had won one of them games, they'd have won the league. And that's the difference. It's fine margins, isn't it? You can't really say, oh, if we'd won there.
No, it's not just about Arsenal. If they had won one more game, they would have won the league. I mean, you look at the Liverpool-Man City game. If Liverpool would have won that game, it doesn't necessarily mean to say that Liverpool would have gone on to win the league.
100%.
Because they dropped the way at the end. But that would have taken another 3 points off for Man City. If that was the case, Arsenal would have won the league by a point.
Yeah, you can't really look at that though, because I just don't think if the results have happened how they've happened, right?
Yeah.
And there is games where they were unfortunate, like I said, and I would say them 2 Aston Villa games have probably really hurt them. But it's like the butterfly effect. If Arsenal won them 2 games against Villa, doesn't mean they would have won the league because other teams might have had different results. You can't really speak like that. But them games would have hurt them, obviously. And in any other season, they would have won both them games. And that pains me to say it because it's Arsenal. But in any other season, they would have won them.
I mean, the only way you're going to get to beat Man City is by winning your games. And if Man City drop points. And look, I mean, for Man City to go on an unbeaten run of 23 games, I think that's pretty impressive. I've got to say, we all think, well, we knew they could have done that anyway. But
they're a great team, despite like their off-field.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the thing, and I've got my thoughts and opinions on that, which we'll get to in a bit. But so Tim's put Spurs only finished 6 points more than Man United. Didn't realise, and apparently United had an extremely poor season.
But United,
United
finishing 8th is a poor season. Spurs finished 5th, and they lost probably the best striker in the world. So, and everybody said Paul Merson predicted Spurs would get relegated, I think, or finish in the bottom half of the league. He genuinely said that on TV. Dear. So, I think I was more than happy with where Spurs finished. So, more than happy.
I mean, you look at Newcastle. I mean, they were touted to be like top 4 again this season, but they've had an extremely poor season.
That was one of my predictions, isn't it? I said they wouldn't finish in the top 6.
You did say that, yeah.
I knew they would be affected by Europe, and it proved to be the case. And I think the same could happen to Villa next season. Unless they make the right signings, Villa will be in the same position as Newcastle. Have a lot of injuries, not used to playing in a Champions League, and will fall away. I'll say it now. I reckon that will be the case. Villa won't be in top 4 next season. They probably won't even be in top 6, in my opinion.
Well, no, I will agree with you there. I will agree with you. What about Man United then? I mean, again, you'd think they're going to get top 4 and stuff like that because of last season, but they've had a massively disappointing season yet again. I mean, look, listen, I've said it last time round in the mid-season review. Man United are a huge club. A huge club. There's no denying that. They're one of the most successful clubs in England, but they're just not a very good team. They're not a very well-run club.
No, I think the manager's not great. I spoke to a mate of mine who's a huge Man U fan, and I speak about him. He's quite reasonable and kind of like level-headed about it. He doesn't want Ten Hag anymore. He don't even care that he's won the FA Cup. He's just like, Ten Hag isn't the one. So I think they've got a few problems. I wouldn't even be shocked if they start the season without Ten Hag. It wouldn't shock me if they still get rid of him. I'll say that now.
Right.
I don't think he's a guaranteed to be the manager at the start of the season.
Poch, the one season he was at PSG, they didn't win the league first time.
I still thought he was unlucky though, because Chelsea came strong in the end, and you could see his winning mentality together there. So I think they should have given him a bit more time. But he's a bit of a weirdo, that guy at Chelsea, ain't he? He just seems to be playing fantasy football a bit.
Can someone explain nil to me? It's 0.
0.
0. We took 4 points off Arsenal.
That's a good point, actually, as well. Yeah, Fulham. Let's get on to Fulham because for Tim's benefit, because I know Tim's a Fulham season ticket holder, and he watches them a lot. And I talk to Tim quite regularly about football and about Fulham, and I've always given Fulham a lot of praise, and I do think they're a good team. But they are one of the teams that seem to yo-yo a bit in terms of their results. They will beat the likes of Arsenal, Spurs. Maybe even better teams than that, and then they lose to someone like Brentford or something, for example. and I just can't work them out. But I do think Craven Cottage is a really hard place to go. Didn't you boys drew 0-0, 1-1 there? Didn't you? I think Liverpool drew.
We drew 1-1 in the League Cup semi-final.
Oh, that was it.
And we beat them in the league.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, Fulham have always given us a tough game, but the thing is, as well, I've noticed, and so this is what annoyed me with Aston Villa. They went to play Man City. Okay, they had a lot of their starters on the bench, and they ended up losing the game.
Yeah.
Right. They play Arsenal the following week, and they put their full strength team out, and they go and beat Arsenal.
Yeah, but sometimes that happens, don't it? You know, I don't think. It's like Spurs done the same in the League Cup against Fulham. We didn't play. It's the only game Vicario didn't play. He got dropped, and we dropped quite a few players for that cup game against Fulham, and they smashed us. You know, and we lost on penalties, I think, in the end or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm not being funny. No one really takes the League Cup seriously. So I mean, and it's been announced for people putting. But when you're playing a Premier League team and stuff like that. I mean, Aston Villa beat Man City earlier in the season. So why didn't they put their full strength team out at the very start?
I don't know. I can't remember the actual.
That annoys me. That does. Apparently, wants to buy Ollie Watkins.
Interesting. Well. I just want to say, Boscan Martin are saying about Villa played on Thursday nights. The Champions League's going to be Thursday nights next year as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, 100%. So the Champions League is going to be Thursday night football next year. So people probably don't understand the new rules. The Champions League is going to be terrible. I hope you realise this. It's a league format. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot bigger leagues, and there's going to be a lot of teams in there who are at the bottom league, got no chance of progressing, and are just going to be stuck in there. Like it's. I think it's a terrible format. And also next year, the Champions League teams don't get to go in Europa. So if they get knocked out of the Champions League, that's it.
Yeah, but they shouldn't do that anyway.
I agree. But that's another thing that's got to be just taken into consideration. So
Daniel Charts put, I wouldn't get rid of Ten Hag. We need to get rid of half the squad, not fit to wear the shirt. Absolutely, Daniel. Absolutely. And I know Mourinho said there was a few players when he was there that they need to
I agree
that
they've not got the players there, but I don't think the manager's very good either. I think they could do a new manager, but that's just me.
Yeah, but I mean, you had Mourinho, he wasn't a bad manager, was he? And they were poor under him. And then who they have after that? They had Ollie.
They've made some very poor decisions, footballing decisions, with regards to their coaching staff. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they should take the opportunity now to get rid of Ten Hag and bring in even Pochettino or someone like that. I think he would fit well there, or De Zerbi or someone like that. Personally.
Yeah. So Kev Cox has put, I've got some real fears as a Liverpool supporter now. Klopp is probably the biggest personality the Premier League has ever seen. With that brings confidence. Absolutely.
I think Slot, though, Slot is a good manager. You've got a good manager there. He plays very similar football to Klopp. He might not have as big a name, but then Klopp obviously done well with Dortmund, but Slot's done incredibly well with all the teams he's been at as well, Feyenoord and that. I wouldn't worry. And this is coming from someone who isn't a Liverpool supporter. I genuinely wouldn't worry about that. So,
well, I mean, Klopp had a great way of like managing the team and stuff like that, and how he is like not a player manager, but he was a very hands-on manager, wasn't he? With like how he dealt with players and situations and stuff like that. He was good with people. So, and he's also done a lot of work for the club as well to get them where they are. So it's not just on the field, it's off the field as well. Everything he's done, he's like, they've gone to not Melwood. Where is it? Is it Kirby they're at now? So they've got a new training facility and stuff like that. He's brought a lot of youngsters through. So everybody's, it will be interesting to see how Slot gets on next year. And I mean, to be quite fair, I'd never even heard of Arne Slot.
Weirdly, don't ask me how, because it's a long story, but I knew quite a lot about him as a player as well. And I actually, when there was rumours going around Spurs were going to potentially get him before we got Postecoglou, I was like, I love that, because I actually think he's a top manager. So I wouldn't be worried at all. And I do agree with Daniel Chart there. I 100% agree with that, but I just don't think Ten Hag's the right one for Man U. I 100% agree with that, but I just don't think he's the right manager personally. But
so VTR, that's not VTR, is it? So VTR saying they need to address the charges. Yes, they do.
Yeah, we'll get on to that.
We will get to that. We will get to that. We will get to that.
So what else? What else about? Is there any other teams, Stu? That obviously, because we Everton and Nottingham Forest, we can go on to charges, but I guess who got relegated.
Yeah,
just kind of. I think we all predicted. I think me and you both predicted the 3 that came up would go down. I'm pretty sure we did. So
I mean, just look at the form guide there. So you've got Luton. They drew 1 game in their last. Is that 6 games? They drew 1 game in the last 6 games.
Well, Sheffield United,
they lost all that. Yeah,
104 goals let in. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Burnley as well. Again, that's no surprise. And I remember saying this on the mid-season review. Vincent Kompany, I thought he's either very naive when it comes to management, or he was very arrogant with it, because you play a certain style in the Championship, and yeah, they won the league by quite a distance last year or the season before. They were the best team in the league. They won the Championship. You come up to the Premier League and it's totally different. He should know that. He's played in the Premier League, and to use those same tactics and try and play that same way, I thought was a bad move by him. And I think that start they had to the season, I think it didn't help him at all. Absolutely atrocious.
It's interesting. He's out buying, no?
Yeah, but I don't get that. What has he done?
Well, I don't know, but his philosophy. He has this philosophy of total football, doesn't he? So he's very much a total football kind of person. Every player should be able to rotate into different positions within reason, and it's very similar to a couple of other top managers. But it does take a while to implement, and you also have to have the right kind of players. Now, I'm not saying he has the right kind of players at Bayern Munich, but I think they're going to be a lot better than the players he had at Burnley. So I think with the right kind of players and his philosophy, I think he'd do all right there. But it is a bit of a mental to think that you got relegated and then you get one of the biggest teams in Europe, or if not the world.
I don't
come and get you.
He must be thinking football. I really can't. It's crazy.
Yeah,
you know.
But he's got a really good footballing brain. He really has Kompany, and he does play a very nice style of football. But I just don't think he could really do that with Burnley in the Premiership.
Yeah, but do you think he was wrong do you think he was wrong to have carried on playing that style of football in the Premier League when really what he should have done was look to stay up?
Potentially, yeah, but you can't. I do like the fact he obviously stuck to his guns. But yeah, you could argue that 100%. Of course, you could. So yeah, you could argue.
I mean, I'm surprised. To be fair, they didn't sack him.
I'm not. He had a lot of money in the bank. He had a lot of credit in the bank, didn't he? Potentially from getting him up. I think that's why. I think they would have kept him if he hadn't gone buying. I think they would have kept him another year, personally.
Mm. And then you got Sheffield United at the bottom as well. I mean, they were just poor.
Yeah, they didn't even really give. I thought Luton at times showed a bit of fight.
Yeah, well, they did.
You thought they might. Yeah. Sheffield United for me were just they looked miles off it, compared to any other team, I would say. But yeah, so where do you want to go next? Because do you want to go VAR, or do you want to go with charges and certain teams like profit and loss, sustainability? What one do you want to tackle? Because those are both big discussions.
Well, I think we'll go. Well, I want to talk about Man City. I want to talk about Man City.
Let's do it. What do you want to say?
Let's talk about Man City. Now, everybody's saying, yeah, what a fantastic team, what a fantastic achievement it is to win 3 on the trot. But the thing is with that, I've got nothing for that team, nothing. And the reason being is because for years and years and years, they were pumping loads of money into that club, and now other teams can't do that because of financial fair play. So yes, Manchester City are now compliant with financial fair play, right? Yeah. That's fine. But look what they did to get there. Now Newcastle, they've got a new owner in. He's got billions of pounds, but he can't plough the money into the club like Man City can. So what the Premier League have done is they've created this monster in Man City by letting them get away with doing what they've been doing. It's like if you go into a competition, like a weightlifting competition, or like athletics, and you're pumping steroids left, right, and centre. That's what City have been doing, and they've been allowed to get away with it.
for now.
For me, that's wrong. So I don't think it's an achievement at all, because I tell you for why. I can guarantee if Man City get away with these charges, right? They get away with it. Man City will win the league next year. They'll win the league the year after that, and they'll win the league after that. The league after that.
They're not going to get away with it though. They get there. See, Man City don't bother me as a team in the respect of they are going to get their punishment, whether they like it or not. They're going to have that day. Like everybody's going to have that day because the trial starts in August, doesn't it? And they reckon it's going to take 11 months to a year to thing. And basically, Man City are just burying the Premier League in paperwork at the moment, being very non-compliant with the paperwork they do send. And it's just going to be, it's just basically trying to delay it. But there's no way they are going to get away with it. Like, I think it will be, and I'll quote me here, it won't be, will they get relegated? It'll be what division they get relegated to. They will. I think they will get like a couple of divisions, like Rangers did in Scotland. It will be mammoth when they go.
You reckon?
I think that's my personal opinion, because if they do get away with it, then it would ruin the whole integrity of the league, because there's no way. If you know all the rules they're broken, it's online. You can read them all. There is no way they're going to get away with it unless there is some sort of like crookedness go on. There's just no way they're going to get away with it. The thing is,
like, what annoys me, Adam, is the fact that they've done what they've done.
Yeah.
And pundits and mainstream media are lauding them up, saying, what a fantastic achievement. Brilliant. Well done. I think that's bang out of order. If I was a pundit on the TV, I'd be saying, no, I'm not celebrating that, because that's wrong. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with it. And they have been at the moment. And while it's, this has taken so long, I mean, okay, you look at Everton and Nottingham Forest. Yes, they were compliant with the case and stuff like that, and they were helping out, and that's why it got addressed so quickly.
Well, they only had 2 or 3 charges against them as well. Was it Man City have got 130 odd or something stupid? So
115, isn't it? But
it's ridiculous. Yeah. So
it wouldn't surprise me, Adam, that they do get away with it. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
It would surprise me purely because I just think it would just send out such, like I said, I don't know how they can. If I just don't know how you can. Like, it's impossible. Like, if they get away with it, all integrity's lost. Like, everybody knows what they've done. Like, everybody knows what they've done.
So Liverpool had a Carabao Cup party, City had a Premier League party, United had the Cup party, and Arsenal had a Thomas party.
It's quite funny, actually.
I do like that.
But no, like I said, I've read in quite a lot of detail all the rules they've broken, and they're just not gonna. There's just no way gonna get away with it. It's gonna be the very least. They get like a 25-point deduction, which basically means relegation. That will be the very least. I promise you.
25-point deduction, and you reckon they get relegated?
Something along them lines, yeah. It'd be 24-point or 25-point deduction at the very least, or something stupid like that.
Let's just get the table up again. Right, so 25-point deduction.
Yeah, at the very least.
How many points did they get? They got 80-odd points.
91, I think.
91 points. So that's still 70-odd points. So they'll still stay up.
Yeah, based on this season. But if you start a season with a 25-point deduction, you've got to hold on to your players that are worried that they're going to be relegated. It's not quite as straightforward as that.
All right, okay. So if Man City did have like a 25-point deduction,
you look at that squad.
You look at that squad, right? Do you think that there's any player in there thinking we're going to get relegated? They'll be laughing.
I think they'll be saying, a lot of them.
They'll be saying, right, 25 points.
Yeah.
A doddle. We'll make that up easily. We get 90 points practically every season.
Maybe, but that's, I got to admit, that is that's the very minimum punishment I think they get, by the way. That's the very minimum punishment. Like, I genuinely think people will be shocked. I think they get punished quite a lot. I don't see how they can't. Like I said, if you've read all what they've done, it would be virtually impossible. So it'd be virtually impossible. So trust me. I couldn't care less about the FFP. Blackburn, Chelsea were on because they spent heavy. Leicester are the only team. It's not about spending heavy, though, is it? It's. I think the problem, a lot of the problem we're getting now with Newcastle, Man City is the sports washing, isn't it? Where they sell players for big money to their sister teams in Saudi and stuff like that. That's more to do with it, isn't it? So I don't think it's so much about spending massively heavy. Chelsea have spent massively heavy, I must admit. So
yeah,
I don't. We can agree to disagree. I stick by my guns. Man City will get their punishment. Trust me, they will. Like, I honestly believe that. So otherwise, there's no point watching football ever again if they don't. Trust me, guys.
Well, the thing is as well. I mean, if they do get like served the punishment, they're going to appeal it. So of course, while the appeal process is going on, they will still be allowed to take part in. I mean, look what happened. I mean, UEFA banned them for 2 years. Yeah, they went to the Court of Arbitration and they overturned the.
You know how they got away with that? They got 19 of the best lawyers in the world to fight that, and that's how they got away with that. So, you know, like I said, I've got my view. Like I said, Man City, I think, will get their punishment one day. It doesn't bother me enough at the moment because it is what it is. You can't do nothing about it. You can talk about it forever. At the moment, they have not got any points deduction. They've not been relegated. They've not had any. Not that money would be a problem to them either, but they've not had any money deductions or anything. So they are just there. So you just got to accept that they're there, and that's that. But I think the only time it goes wrong is if they're facing 115 charges, and if they get investigated for a year, and then the Premier League still turn around and goes, "Oh, you know, you're fine," then that's when you got to worry. That's when there's something not quite right with the whole system.
Well, so, I don't think there's. I think there's something wrong with the system anyway. I really
maybe
do.
You know, they are changing the profit and loss rules as well. So that's going.
Yeah. That's when's that kicking in? Is that this next season?
Season after, I think so. It's not the beginning of this season. I think it's the season after.
Season after.
So that's why Leicester, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, they're going to get their punishment. That's the point. They're going to get their punishment. So they're going to get their punishment. So I just picked 25 points out the air. God, Jesus Christ.
You're getting actually pelters, mate. You were the one who wanted to do this. You wanted to do this.
I just picked 25 points out the air, for God's sake, people. They will get a massive deduction. Let's just say that then.
Deduction. It should be punished.
They could well do that. Could be a part of it. It could well be a part of it. That's what happened pretty much to Barcelona, didn't it? And no, that's pretty much what happened. They weren't allowed to buy. They got restrictions on how many players they could register or something, and how much money. They can't even register their manager at the moment. They've got that handsy flicking. They can't register him and his backroom staff. So he can't be officially, like I said, he's the manager, because they've got so many problems at the moment financially. So they've got to sell players before they can even do that. It's crazy. Get rid of people. It's mad.
So another question I want to ask you. Do you think now, with the way the Premier League is, it is becoming a boring league? It's becoming predictable. The same team will win the league year in, year out. The same teams that get promoted will get relegated year in, year out. I mean, there's a massive gap between the Championship and the Premier League.
Well, there is, but that is money based. But isn't this the first season? I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure this is the first season in a while that all teams that got promoted have been relegated. So straight off the bat, I think it might be one of the first seasons in a while. So it doesn't off. There's normally at least one team that stays up, isn't there, or something scrapes it. But I don't think, if you forget Man City, Man City have won the league 4 years in a row, right? If you forget them, I think the league is as unpredictable as it's ever been. Who would have thought Chelsea would have finished 6th? Who would have thought Man U would have finished 8th? You know, who would have thought Villa would have finished in 4th? Like, people take points off each other all the time. And I think that's what makes it unpredictable. Like, back in the day, people spend heavily more to choose point. Yeah, but See, this is all to do with the Premier League can go back and retrospectively punish them. UEFA and FIFA don't retrospectively punish. So it's the Premier League that are now trying to punish City. UEFA and FIFA can't get involved because it's a retrospective thing.
But it's not just the form and the trot that Tim, as well. It's the fact that the last 7 years, Man City have won 6 titles in the last 7 years.
Oh yeah, you could definitely point to the fact that this should have been dealt with years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the problem is, this is where it gets all political, isn't it? Basically, Man City are just burying the Premier League in they're burying paperwork, and then when the paperwork they do send in is not the right kind of paperwork, they're delaying sending it. They're basically just being as awkward as possible. So the Premier League are trying to punish them, and they're trying to take them to trial and stuff like that, but they're not getting anywhere with it. And this is a Man City's big plan, isn't it?
But then, if how are teams now meant to catch up Man City? Because Man City, they can quite easily
that's what profit and loss was meant to solve, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's the whole sustainability rules were meant to try and sort that, weren't they? That was the whole idea. So, but they basically they'd probably still win. The thing is, that was what the whole profit and sustainability rules were meant to bring in. He can talk. You finished behind us. What is his problem? Like, so it's. I'll tell you what. I've got actually thinking about how much people have spent on their teams. I've actually got that somewhere here. So Chelsea have spent the most in the last 5 years, and Man United have spent the second most. Then Arsenal, then Spurs, then Newcastle, then City. City in the last 5 years have spent the 6 teams spent the most. So they're not years. Last 5 years.
I mean, just to go on Tim's point, look at the players they've bought though. Harry Maguire for 80 odd million.
Well, that's not the club. That's the management of the club, like the people pulling that making poor decisions. You could argue Man City spent 80 million on Guardiola last year. Look how good he is. You know what I mean? So they got more bang for their buck than saying a Harry Maguire who was 75, 80 million after that amazing season. He had one amazing season, didn't he, at Leicester or something, which is what got him that transfer. But like I said, it's just one of them things. I personally, I think, going back to your point about the league, I think it's more competitive and more unpredictable than it's ever been.
It's not City's fault.
What do you mean?
What's not City's fault? What about United spending 80 million on Harry Maguire? No,
it isn't. No, it isn't. That's just poor buying by Man U. Spurs have bought poor buying for years, and that's caught us out a lot. So it's only been the last year or two we've actually managed to actually buy some decent players. So that was a really easy. The reason, this is what whether it's right or wrong, this is what is said about that. It was a really straightforward case. Basically, they had just gone above the profit and sustainability rules. Everton complied with the Premier League very easily. They held their hands up and said, "Yes, we've done this. This is what we've done wrong." That's why that case was very easy to do. Forest are the same. Forest are complied. Yeah. Man City are just not complying with the Premier League at all. And when they do, they're sending them rubbish or not sending them the stuff they want. And that is why they're getting away with it. Whereas, if they just owned up and said, look, we've done this and that whole thing would be dealt with a lot quicker now. So,
but they're not going to, though, are they? They're not going to turn around and say they're wrong.
No, City know that, to put it a better way, they are screwed. City know they are screwed, which is why they're doing this. Everton and Forest were quite happy to come forward and say, yeah, we messed up. We take the points deduction, blah, blah, blah. And that's what happened. But City know they're so screwed that this is the only way.
Yeah, but that's why I can't get excited about City or say, well done, City, for winning 4 in a row.
I get
you know
that.
what I mean? I'm not being funny. I know I sound bitter. And I know I sound jealous, but yeah, I'll admit I am bitter. I am jealous because it's bang out of order. It's you've got. I don't know. I mean, like Man United. They've spent a lot of money, but
so do you blame? Let's flip this. Do you blame the Premier League then? Who do you blame in this scenario for why Man City have gone so long without being punished? Who do you blame?
Well, I blame the Premier League.
Okay, so I'm just saying, do you think the Premier League are not doing enough with City? I'm not saying you're right or wrong there, but do you think they're not doing enough to punish them?
I think what they're doing it now, but it's too late.
It's too late, as in, yes, they've won them titles, and I don't think they'll take them away from them. Yes, I agree with that.
I'm not saying that, like, take the titles away.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't know.
But is this so? Is it fair to? Okay, I'm just trying to put it on, and I don't really have a view on it, but you can't really, if you forget about all that thing, you can't really fault. Okay, the team has been brought together because of their dodgy dealings, right? Because of then just total disregard for the rules. But can it ain't the players' fault. The players aren't going to go out there and say, we're not going to play.
I'm not blaming the players. I'm not blaming the players at all. Okay. So Man City, before they had these owners come in, were a mid-table team at best.
Also, they're in Division 2, mate. Do you remember they were in League 2?
Yeah. So, yes, when they first won the league and they pipped United to the title, I was delighted because it stopped Man United from winning another league title. But then they've it's like I say, it's like an athlete taking steroids or like a weightlifter taking steroids.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying,
look at Lance Armstrong. Yeah. Everybody was applauding him. Oh, well done. He's won all these, Tour de France and stuff like that.
Yeah, but no one knew at the time what he was doing. No one knew at the time what he's doing. Like, no one knew he was EPOing it up and stuff like that. No one knew that.
I just think it's bad for the game. It really is. And it's like you say, it's not the players' fault, but Man City, they can afford to go out and buy a keeper for 80, 90 million, a defender. I mean, Guardiola, he's a
But they haven't really done that over the last 5 years. They're six.
But they've not had to, have they?
No.
Because the team,
they've done it 10 years ago. They done it 10 years ago, which is what the charges are relating to. The charges are relating to the 2013, 2014 season, I think, off the top of my head. So all I'd say, one last thing on Man City, personally from me, is yes, they've done what they've done. They will get their punishment. I'm convinced by that. Is it too late? Yeah, probably it is. Like I said, I don't think there's much more you can say about it, though. It is what it is. And the only reason Everton and Forest have been punished so easily is
because they've owned up to it. Yeah,
they owned up to it, and it was it was only like 1 or 2 violations. It was a straightforward case. So this is a lot more complex, right or wrongly. It's a lot more complex. So
it's not a level playing field. It's political. Premier League also lose if Man City are punished heavily.
Of course, they will do, but they've got to do it. So yeah, they will do it. I'm convinced.
What's that? So. City are the last. What's this? The Premier League to look inside itself as to why this has been allowed to go unpunished for so long.
Should I bring up a little point that I would like to bring up, though? This is not the first time the English Football League has been corrupt. Can I take a story back to probably when none of us were born in the early 1900s? It might be why G-Force realises why I don't like Arsenal so much. Because I will tell everybody a little story about the corruption that goes on quite a lot in English football. So if we go back to 1900, Arsenal finished 6th in what was then the equivalent of the championships. 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spurs and Chelsea finished 19th and 20th, or respectively, in what was then the English Premiership, right? 2 teams, they were basically extending the Premier League. It was Division 1 back then. They were extending the Premier League by 2 places. So they had to make a decision whether they relegated both Spurs and Chelsea and brought in the first and second team in the then Championship, or they didn't relegate Spurs and Chelsea. And they relegated Spurs and Chelsea, brought in 4 teams, or didn't relegate Spurs and Chelsea and brought in 2 teams, right? At the time, the head of the Football FA was an Arsenal executive, right? This is a totally true story. And you can read up on it anywhere. Arsenal, who finished 6th in the equivalent of the Championship, leapfrogged everybody, got put in the Premiership, the equivalent of the Premiership then, Spurs and Chelsea both got dumped, and only the top, I think, 2 teams went up from. So the teams that finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the Division 1 at the time stayed in Division 1. Arsenal finished 6th, again 6th, leapfrogged everybody and got put in the division above. And that is why, believe me, pretty much every Spurs fan hates Arsenal for that. Like, because it was just complete and utterly, and that was corruption. That was like 19, I can't remember the exact year. It was like 1910 or something like that. So this, It might even been earlier, actually. So that is where corruption has been going on long before in football, trust me. And that's just a little story about where corruption has always happened in football.
There's always corruption in football. So Tim's, but when Liverpool dominated in the 70s and 80s, they had the highest transfer fees and highest wage bills. Just they did. But I mean,
you've got a fair point.
He has got a fair point. But then you could say the same about Man United. But the thing is, though, but back then they were owned by local businessmen. They weren't pumping billions and billions and billions into the club. And Liverpool and Man United, like the big clubs that they are worldwide, they generate that kind of money. I mean, Man City, City are guilty of spending more than the club can generate.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Well, it's profit and sustainability. Well, you say that Man City are actually the highest revenue team. I think one of the highest revenue teams in the world. If not, they are. Deloitte released this the other week.
They are now.
Yeah, they are now. That's what I mean. But back then they weren't, which is where the fine comes in. But yeah, like I said, Man City are massive now. But no one, like we said, no one supported them back. I'll be up for that VTR, Dave. Let's do it. Let's make a petition. 6, and they got promoted above every other team. And also,
who's holding the grudge? Who's holding the grudge?
Talking about me about Spurs.
Oh yeah.
But that is just one thing that will always Man City the second revenue. They make second highest revenue in the world.
I liked it when Dad sponsored JVC. That was all right.
And it's a bit. I'm just saying, G-Force. That's the history of Spurs and Arsenal, and also if you add on because the fact that Arsenal used to be based in Woolwich in South London, and they decided to move their arse to within like 3 miles of us. So that's why we don't like them either. So there's a lot of history, but yes, 1914-15. Darren Robinson, thank you very much. I couldn't remember when it was. So yeah, thank you.
Blimey,
it's a big. But the thing is, people hardly anybody knows that unless you're a Spurs or Arsenal supporter. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't really know.
I didn't know that.
So anyway,
so going back to my previous question.
Yeah.
Do you think the Premier League is still the best league in the world, or do you think it's now turned boring 100%. And predictable?
No, I think it's the best league in the world still. 100%, and that's based on. I hate pointing to trophies and stuff like that, but except for I saw an infographic the other day. Spain, like Real Madrid and Barcelona, have won the most European trophies out of every team. So Spain has the most European trophies in the world, but it's all been won by Real Madrid and Barcelona. I think second is England. But a lot of European trophies have been won by a lot of different teams, like Ipswich, Spurs, Forest. They've all won European trophies, you know, and stuff like that. There's a whole big bunch of teams that have won European trophies. Interestingly, French league is considered a top league. They've only ever won one European trophy, and that was Marseille in 1992, I think. So, why that's considered a big league, I do not know. So, even just looking at it like that, I think the Premiership is still by far the biggest revenue league, makes the most money. It's a huge league. But
it does just because it brings in the most revenue and it brings all that sort of stuff, and it doesn't mean to say it's boring if it's the same team winning it year in year out.
At the moment, it is, but it's one of them things. Personally, I just think you've got to forget it until they get punished. It is what it is. No one can change it unless they had a duff season or Pep leaves. Pep's going at the end of next season, isn't he? Probably because that would be about the time they get punished.
I'm not even joking. Stupid, is he? He's not stupid, is he?
No, he's not.
He knows, and he turns around and says he doesn't know what's going on. Absolutely.
No, he won't do that, will
Rubbish.
he?
Just playing devil's advocate. So, do we keep the status quo and don't allow smaller teams to one day become giants? The thing is with that, though, Tim,
I think they can.
You've got to look at Newcastle. They've got this mega rich owner, but they can't plough all the money into the club like Man City did.
They still spent quite a bit, to be fair. They still the fifth in the last 5 years. They've still been they had a fifth highest spending team in the last 5 years. They've spent quite a bit.
Yeah, but but I mean, they can't plough. They can't do what Man City did. That's what I'm saying.
Well, no team can. No team can now.
No, exactly. So it's not, So that's what I'm saying. How do teams compete against Man City? Because now they are compliant with financial fair play.
I think a lot of it, though, we're forgetting one angle here. So teams make money through performance on the pitch, right?
Yep.
What's it called? Television rights and commercial things like having concerts at a stadium and stuff like that. So that's the way teams make big money now. So you've got to increase your match day revenue. So you've got to have a bigger stadium, right? That is the first thing you've got to do to be able to bring the money in. You have to have a bigger stadium and then have the fan base to fill it, right? You've then got to get your team to the point, your club basically, to be able to put on concerts, to use it. So it's not just used for football. It's used for rugby. It's used for concerts in the summer. And this is all the way you get more money, enabling you to basically stretch them financial fair play league, because it's all based on, if you bring the money in, you can spend more money. That's how it works. Yeah. So if you're bringing the money in, you can spend more money. And that's the thing. Newcastle are underpinned by the fact the reason they can't spend as much money is commercially, they're not that big a team around the world. Like, if you look at it, they're not a huge team around the world.
Yeah, and but neither were Man City.
Fun? No. But back in the day, it was different. Like I said, they got there illegally. But what we're trying to say now is teams now still have to work on that commercial aspect. Yeah. And this is the thing, like Chelsea are really quite good at it. I think Chelsea, social media-wise, are quite big. You've got to work on things like that, and you've got to think of different ways to... Spurs have spent a lot of money on their stadium and stuff like that. They now, except Man U, Spurs have got the biggest revenue for match day. They make £5 million every match without fail. £5 million. And Man United just make a fraction over that because they've got 3,000 seat a stadium that gets filled up every week. But like I said, it's so you've got to think of other different ways, and it is commercial stuff. It is like these smaller teams need to build bigger stadiums, and then they need the fan base to actually fill them, if you know what I mean. So if they've got that, they will have more income, and they'll be able to spend more money. And that's
also more brown ale,
also stuff like that. So I'm not saying. And then there's the performance aspect. Yes, if a team's performing well on the pitch, they get more money. So, for example, if you're a team that finishes bottom in the Premier League, you make about £100 million, right, for the season. That includes like your positional money. It includes your TV rights money and stuff like that. But every position you finish up the league, obviously you get a bigger slice of the pie, and you get more chance of being on TV. If you're in Europe, you're going to get more money for being in Europe. That's just even if it is the conference, which isn't a great competition, you're going to get more TV rights. Same with Europa, same with Champions League. But you only get good money in Champions League once you get out the group stages. You get about £35 million for the group stages. If you get out the group stages, you get like 10, 15 million pounds every game you win after that. That's massive. So there's things like that.
Do you think, I mean, look, listen, I know the MLS league isn't as strong as the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they've done it financially, do you think they should adopt that in the Premier League? Still have the relegation and the promotions, but how they've done it financially, adopt that in the Premier League?
I don't think they'd be able to now, but they have a weird thing about the rostering of players, don't they? They're only allowed to register certain overseas players. We
had that in the league years ago, didn't we?
We did. I'm sure. I might be wrong here, and someone will correct me. I'm sure, but isn't it they're only allowed to pay a certain amount of money to 3 top players as well? So that's why only 3 of their players can be really big players. They normally are ex-Premiership players, like Robbie Keane when he went to LA Galaxy and stuff like that. I'm sure all the other players get paid like, I'd say, an average wage or like a slightly better than average wage. I'm sure it's something like that. And obviously they do, like Kevin Cox said, they do have a draft system like the NFL. But then, so we adopt that though. Let's be honest. If we adopted an MLS league, the Premiership wouldn't be the biggest league in the world for much longer because other players would leave and go to other leagues. So that's the problem. You would harm the league by doing that because no players would want to play here if they're not going to get, rightly or wrongly, if they're not going to get paid the top money. They're not going to play here, are they,
Mr. B? Well, so, no, that's true. But I just think there needs to be some kind of I don't know. There needs to be a cap on it because it's just getting out of hand. It's getting ridiculous now.
I don't disagree, but then you've got to remember as well the Premier League, and this is where I think people forget, is the government, and no matter what political persuasion you are, whoever's in government takes a massive chunk of the earnings of the players. So all the players get taxed. They might, try and get out of that and do their overseas stuff, but they make a lot of money. You know what I mean? They make a hell of a lot of money from players, so they're not going to want to cap the Premier League because it means then their chunk of it, their tax is going to be smaller. So why is the government going to want to do that? It's just not going to happen. Like, I think that's even madness to think it's going to happen. But I do know what you mean. Like, in an ideal world, you can only get paid 10 grand a week or whatever. It might make it quite interesting. But, it's just not going to happen. Not going to happen, mate. No. So, and that, in terms of what do you think? So you said something a couple of times this season, which I've got to bring you back up on, and I don't. You said you'd given up on football and you weren't going to get involved.
Yeah.
Are you going to watch football next year, or is this the last ever live stream we're going to do on football? What are you going to do?
Well, look, I mean, I've not enjoyed this season as much as, like, say, previous seasons. I mean, and it is all down to VAR. I don't think VAR is fit for purpose. I don't think the referees...
I've got some stats on it. We can look at that.
We'll get to those in a minute. Yeah, I know you love your stats. I don't think the referees are fit for purpose. I think their performances have been absolutely atrocious. I really do. And it's just ruined the game. It really has ruined the game.
So why... So again, you were quite in favour of VAR when we spoke 6 months ago. You weren't 100% sold on it, but you were definitely more in favour of it than me. So
yeah, because I think VAR it can work. It can work. Okay. But the thing is, the reason it's not working is because we've got a bunch of complete freaking idiots that haven't got a clue how to run it properly, and that's the problem. We are so arrogant. Not me. But I'm just saying, the referees and the PGMOL or whatever you want to call them, they are so arrogant. VAR was there, brought in to assist the referee. Mm-hmm. What they're doing now is they're protecting the referee and backing his decision.
Well, I think they're taking the decision away from the referee. But I would
no, they're not. They're not. You look at. I'm going to keep harping on about this. The Liverpool Man City game. That challenge in the box at the end was a definite penalty. It was dangerous play. Opinion. His foot was high, right? Michael Oliver was behind McAllister, so he couldn't see it.
Yep.
The guys in the VAR have got the perfect view. They can see it from every single angle, right? And when they got hold of Michael Oliver, he was turning around saying, no, it's not a penalty. It's not a penalty. And they've gone, oh, what then? Right? No. If I was in the VAR room, I would have said, oh, hang on a minute, right? You can't see because of where your position is. You're behind the play. You can't see it, right? Go to the screen and have a look, right? And if you don't think it's a penalty, then fine, that's on you. But we're telling you, go look at
except for that decision, that's the way round I want it, right? Because let me explain here. You don't want VAR reffing the game for the referee. You don't want a VAR saying the referee goes, whether it's the right decision or not, you don't want the referee going, I don't think that's a penalty. And then VAR going, well, we do. We don't care what you think. It's a penalty.
No, I'm not saying they say that. I'm not saying they say that. I'm saying the referee, he was in a position where he couldn't see. VAR was brought in to get these decisions correct, right?
Yeah.
They were brought in to get this decision or these decisions correct. Yeah. If the referee has made a mistake and he can't see what's going on in front of him because he's behind the player,
the mistake is an interpretation of the rule. because a lot of people, like I personally, rightly or wrongly, I don't think that was a foul. So this is the problem.
What? How can you say that wasn't a foul?
Go with it a minute. I don't think it was a foul personally. So, and I don't. Honestly, I don't. But I would say, and this is where it gets to grey area, is anywhere else on the pitch, I think it would have been given as a foul. I'm not saying it was a foul, and this is where I think it's wrong. So there's so many decisions that happened. Spurs, Arsenal. In the lead up to Arsenal's second goal, Kulusevski was tripped inside the Arsenal penalty area, right? The ball played on, Arsenal went and scored, right? Anywhere else that had happened on the pitch, that would have been a foul. Spurs would have got a free kick. That goal wouldn't have happened. Because it's in the penalty area, no penalty. So what I would say in relation to the issue you're talking about in the Man City-Liverpool game is I can see why you're thinking that should be a foul. And I think anywhere else on a pitch it would be. But I just think there's certain fouls, rightly or wrongly, are not given in the penalty area. They're just not. Because they know it's got to be a penalty. And I don't agree.
Give it then. Don't not give it. Oh well, bloody hell!
I don't think it was a foul, even if it had been a penalty. To be honest,
ridiculous. If it's a foul,
my opinion is I think it would.
Adam, if it's a foul anywhere else on the pitch, if
it's interpretation, though, isn't it?
But no.
So Mike Oliver said it wasn't a foul. VAR might have also thought it weren't a foul. They might have thought it was a foul. But they could have sent Mike Oliver to the screen and said, "Look,
absolutely.
Right."
What I'm saying is, you're saying that if it's in the box, it's not necessarily a penalty, a foul. But if it happens outside the box, then it's a foul.
That's what happens sometimes. It does in football.
Majority of the time, if it happens out on the pitch, it's
I don't agree with it. By the way,
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
What I'm trying to say, let's run this back. So he didn't. I can't remember what happened because I didn't watch that game. But Mike Oliver. So he didn't get sent to a screen.
No, because it was, you know, that referees watch thing where they go back and check what happens with VAR and they do that Michael Owen thing. Michael Oliver turned around and said, "No, not for me, not for me." He shouldn't be saying that.
Right? Okay. It's his view. He's allowed to, as a referee, he's allowed to give his view 100%. That's
not
what
even before they turned around and said, "Hang on a minute." You know, we're trying to referee the game here. We're trying to get this decision right. And that's the whole purpose of VAR.
Let's just say they sent him to the screen. They didn't, did they?
They didn't because they turned around and gone, "All right, then it's not a penalty."
So let's just say they sent him to the screen, and Mike Oliver went, "I still don't think it's a foul." Right? What happens? You can't have the VAR
penalty, then, is it? He can't give it. Exactly. But to not even go and look at it, or VAR turn around and say, "Well, no, hang on a minute," because you know when they go to the screen, the VAR are talking them through it. And they're talking through every angle and saying, "Right, this is blah 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 blah." Because you know a lot of the times that when they do go to the screen, if it's not given and they VAR intervene and they say,
"Right, in slow mo, it looks worse," and everything like that.
So they go and look at it, and it's not more than likely it's going to be given as a penalty.
Yeah. Well, I personally don't think it was a penalty. So, and obviously Mike Oliver didn't.
I'm not buying that, Adam. I'm not buying that. Why is that not a penalty? His foot was high. If that happened to a Spurs player...
He hardly made any contact with him. The guy who he challenged, was it McAllister, I think, made a meal of it. I don't think it's a penalty.
He got kicked in the chest.
To be honest, the problem I have,
the
problem I have, though, is a year before, let's face it, Jota cut Skip in the head with a high kick at Anfield. And he weren't even given, I think he was given a yellow card. So, you know, but I agree with there.
Yeah.
I completely agree with, going back to my view on VAR, is I would get rid of it altogether because I think...
Yes, definitely.
One, it's taking enjoyment out of scoring, which Boss has said. And two, it basically, for me, it's still an interpretation of someone sees the rules. And I don't want VAR. I don't want basically VAR telling a referee how to ref a game.
Keith Knight. He's a referee, right? Keith, want your opinion? In your opinion,
I agree with that.
Would you have given that as a penalty?
No, he said below you don't have to make contact. I agree with that massively. It's the same thing as what you didn't know before. You can still foul someone even if you win the ball. That can still be a foul. So, that I completely agree with what Keith's saying, by the way. I'm just giving that as an example. I personally don't think it was that particular call. Anyway, but going back to VAR,
I just want to read Mark's quickly. G-Force, a ref's call on the field was the final say for decades. Right or wrong call, it has been. Yeah.
I agree, G-Force. I completely agree. You can't have a VAR saying you need to look at this, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I've got some stats on VAR. So before I show you these stats, because I think they're really interesting.
Are you going to share them?
Yeah, I'm going to share them, but I'll do it in a minute. So before I show you them, they're purely based on decisions for and against the team. So there's no context with them. So there's no like, oh, that should have been a goal or that should have been a foul. It's just how many have gone for a team and how many have gone against the team. Okay, so I'll share them with you now. 2 seconds. How do I do this? I always forget how I do this.
Give them the benefit of the doubt. No.
I go to present, don't I?
You do, yeah.
And I go to share screen.
Yeah.
And what one is it? Share.
Hello, sir. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
So, can we see this?
I can see it. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Yeah, let me. There you go.
So, what it's saying here.
Well, I don't know because I can't bloody see that. That is tiny.
All right, let me zoom in. 1 minute.
Yeah, zoom in.
Zoom in. Oh,
what are you doing? Copy and pasting?
No, I'm not. I'm just zooming in. Give me a minute. So what he's saying here, I'll scroll down in a minute, is It's basically saying Fulham have had more VAR decisions go for them than against them. There's no context around this. So give me a moment, Tim. Don't start shouting at me. There's no context around this. And Wolves have had 7 decisions go against them, whether they were right or not, go against them. So this is why Wolves have actually carried a motion to the Premier League. It's getting discussed in a week, isn't it, roughly?
Yeah.
Because they feel they've been unfairly treated by VAR decisions.
Yeah.
Now, based on this graphic, you could say they have had more than anybody else go against them, right? But there is no context around here. So 7 out of them 7 decisions that Wolves had go against them, all 7 of them could have been just, right? They could have been just, but this is still quite interesting information, I think. So what you've got is Fulham, Forest, Villa, Man City, and Everton have been the top 5 teams that have benefited the most from VAR decisions. And the bottom 5 have been Palace, Man U, Sheffield United, West Ham and Wolves. I just think it's an interesting graphic to show that this is without context. It does go into the rest of the link, does go into by teams what happened. So like Fulham 5 here, overturns, led to a goal. You know what I mean? It tells you all by team. And that's quite interesting as well. But yeah, I just think that's a really interesting graphic to look at, really, personally, about who's had the most go for them and who's had the most go against them. Any surprises on there for you?
Well, no, I can't really see, Adam, because that is quite small.
What do you mean you can't see that? I've increased it. If you can't see that,
do you want me to
show you Liverpool?
Hang on, let me put it up.
So what he's basically saying is, like I said, it's quite interesting, like to see that, but there's no context around it. So
who comes up with these stats then?
So this has been done by ESPN, but there's he's a general editor at ESPN. But basically, what they do is to say, for example, Spurs have 10 VAR decisions throughout the season, and five have cost them, 5 have benefited them. Their net score would be 0. Right? That's how it works. As simple as that. So say Fulham, I'm making this bit up here a bit. Say Fulham have had 15 VAR decisions, 10 have gone for them, 5 have gone against them, then their net score would be +5. So it is purely based on how many have gone for them, whether it's been a goal, whether it's been another team have had a red card. You know, that's what it's based on. So poor Wolves, based on that. Now, all 7 of them decisions could have been just, but they've had 7 decisions go against them. It's quite a lot more than most other teams.
Yeah, but
so that's why they're so
decision then, if it was the right decision or the wrong decision.
Pardon?
Who makes the decision whether it was a right decision?
It's not.
Or a wrong
There's.
decision?
I've just said that. That's not included. This is just a net score of whether it's gone against them or not.
Okay.
It's very simple. Right. There's no magic around this, so it's just purely if Liverpool have had 3 decisions go for them and 3 decisions go against them, their net score is 0. It's that simple, right?
Okay, I get it. What
it shows is that there's some teams that potentially are benefiting and other teams that are not. And this is why Wolves are so peed off, because they feel, and I've got to admit, I've seen a couple of Wolves decisions. They are shocking and they are definitely dodgy. So it's one of them things. I just think it's an interesting graphic to, how do I stop sharing this? Is it that one? Yeah. I just think it's an interesting graphic to put up, but it will cause discussion because it may well be that, like, you know, them Fulham with them +5 for, they might all be genuine. I'm not saying they're not, but it's an interesting statistic.
I mean, do you think they'll get the 14 votes needed?
No.
You don't think they will?
Well, I don't think they get a hope in hell, mate. There's too many clubs that, like, when they voted to bring in VAR, only 3 clubs voted against it, mate. So, you know, Des is a Liverpool supporter. So I'm not taking any other comment for any other supporter.
I'm going to keep it. No, he said it's a penalty. It's a penalty.
Yeah, it's Liverpool supporter. It weren't a penalty. I'd be very peed off if that got given against me. But it is what it is. It might have, if you'd have won that game and that had been a penalty, right? You could have missed it. You might have won it. Doesn't mean Man City might not have won the league. Doesn't mean Liverpool won the league. There's too many butterflies. So, I just thought that was an interesting discussion.
But look, so a lot of the fans now are wanting VAR gone.
100%. I'm glad they caught up with me at last.
What will happen is then, is if the fans are wanting VAR to go, Wolves have put this complaint in and need 14 teams to sign it.
Yeah.
If they don't get 14 votes, basically what's happening is the clubs are going against what the fans want.
Or the clubs think or the clubs just think that they're better off having VAR. Yeah, basically, I don't think. I think. Yeah, I agree with Daniel there. Yeah, I agree. It's true. It shouldn't be, but it is. It is massively like that. He's totally correct in that statement.
Rubbish.
So, but yeah, that's funny. But yeah, no. Also, interestingly, so this, I'm going to pull out some more statistics here, which kind of carries on from the VAR thing. So this season, we've had the most red cards in about 15, 20 years in a season, right? It's been ridiculous. And the reason a lot of that is because of obviously VAR, because it's looking at second yellers that look horrific in slow-mo. And therefore they're like, oh, that's another yellow card, send him off. And some of them, I don't actually think they should be red cards. Of course, everything looks worse in slow-mo. I disagree. It's an interesting, and I can see why Wolves would be peed off. So it's something.
I mean, Wolves have been harshly done by this season.
You look at them 7 decisions. I've looked at about 4 of them, and they're no way like offside or penalties and stuff like that that have been. You would be like that. The
first game of the season, Man United Wolves. That keeper come out and
that was one of them.
Again,
that was a penalty and a half. A penalty and a half. Yeah, exactly. That's one of them. So yeah, but basically, yeah, going back to red cards. Red cards is a massive issue, and I thought this might happen. So
what's that?
Red card. Well, like I said, red cards. You know, the fact that once you start looking at slow, also they become this descent problem where you descent now at the start of the season. They were all getting trigger happy, weren't they? We're giving yellow cards.
Oh yeah,
every second. Yeah. So that's why red cards has been a massive issue this year. I'm just having a look while I'm looking over the other screen. There's been a total of 58 red cards, right?
Wow.
Season before, 30, right? Season before that, 43, 48, 44, 47. So, yeah, this season has been a record, like, red card season, basically. So, Liverpool coach getting small decisions ref and they're giving away so much. The other thing is as well, what you got with VAR, and I think it's worth bringing in, is I think the referees rely on it. So I think referees bottle giving penalties because they know that they're going to get someone in their ear going, you need to look at that again. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So Keith, I'm going with Keith. He's a referee.
Well, yeah, but not all referees are right. We've just proved that. It's all perspective. So, you know,
Keith's right. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, reckless and careless are quite dealt with differently, and that is correct. Reckless, yeah.
Hang on, VAR is here to stay, but it needs a restructure.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure Howard Webb is the best man for being head of it.
No, because he was in Ferguson's pocket, wasn't he, a lot of the time?
But then you can't give it to ex-pros because they have bias towards their teams. So you can't there's a rumor.
You do it. You put your name in the hat.
I've not done any refereeing badges, so I'm not sure I'm qualified. And two, they wouldn't ever give me a Spurs game, would they? Or an Arsenal game, or a Chelsea game. So
oh yeah, I read that one.
But no.
If that tackle happens anywhere else on the field, it's a free kick. So it has to be.
But this is the thing. Daniel Chart said it. It's always dealt with different. It shouldn't be always dealt with differently. So don't. They won't in my house, Terry. I'm the only one.
Yeah. Here. Cheers, pal. Cheers, TJC. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
But no, I disagree.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that's the only thing me and Tim have agreed on tonight. But yeah.
It's all kind of, this is the thing, ain't it? It's all how people interpret it.
Yeah.
I'm with Michael Oliver. I didn't think it was a pen. But you could argue, I would say you could argue if that happened in the first minute, he may give a pen. You don't know. That's what I mean. That's the problem you got. And Say
that was you. Well, not you. Tottenham against Arsenal. Right, and it was 1-1, and it was in the last minute, and
Ben want a penalty all day long. Of course you would, but I'm not saying it should be. But you would be like, I want one because I do it at Spurs all the time. I'm there on my phone sometimes. I'm watching a game, and I'm like, oh, that's got to be a goal. That's a penalty. That's foul. And then someone will text me and go, no, I didn't even touch him. And the thing is, because you get a different view, obviously, at the stadium. So sometimes, and Tim will know this, sometimes you're convinced by something, and then you'll see it on the video when you get home, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, that weren't nothing. You know what I mean? Or you might go, oh, my God, how the hell didn't we get a penalty for that? So it's just, I'm always going to say I want something for my team. I totally agree. But that's why I'm I would expect every Liverpool fan to say, oh, that was a penalty. I personally, I'm trying to be objective. I don't care really about Liverpool or Man City. I personally would have said if that was given as penalty, it'd been soft. That's my view.
I don't care if it wasn't, even if it had been like against Tottenham or against Arsenal or against Aston Villa. If I see that challenge in the box, regardless of what team it's against, I would say penalty all day long.
Okay.
It was
if you want to look back, if you can't remember it, there was Kulusevski got tripped in a box against Spurs Arsenal, and the ball broke away, and Arsenal scored after it, and it was never pulled back for a penalty. But I suppose if you want to look at that one, you can let me know in the future if you don't know that one, because there's many a times. So there's many a times. Exactly. I'm totally I like the way Dan's talking here. I do get, I totally agree with that. It
is all if buts and maybes.
It's just hands and buts and maybes, yeah. But in terms of, so we're talking about VAR, and we're all kind of getting very passionate about it, and we're both quite passionate about it. What do you think? What do you think the difference will be with the semi-automatic offsides coming in next season? Do you agree with them? I personally hate the offside rule. There's no advantage to attackers anymore. If your toenail's offside, it's offside. I think that's rubbish because there's no advantage there. What do you think about the semi-automatic, the introduction of that? What's your view on offsides as a whole at the moment?
I think you're right. There's no advantage to the attackers anymore, like that used to be. Because in the old days, right, you could play a ball through. The person might be onside who's received the ball, but there might be someone else standing in an offside position.
Yeah.
Do you remember that when the law was like that?
Yeah.
So
the rules have changed. We haven't even started on a handball one. I'll probably leave that for another time.
Yeah. Well, another time. Brilliant. I think offside should be, there needs to be clear daylight between the player, the attacker and the defender.
I was of that opinion up until I saw a couple of freeze frames recently where people had recreated goals where there was then clear daylight, and I think it would be too much. I think there needs to be some sort of I don't know. I think there needs to be some sort of a bit more of a zone, a buffer, an error, but I don't think daylight would be the case. I don't disagree, Keith. Don't disagree, by the way. But we know football. It's always been like that. Yeah, that should have been a goal. Of course it should have been a goal. But, that's football, ain't it? If VAR hadn't existed, that would have been a goal. Doesn't mean you would have gone on to win the game, though. Because that's football, you know what I mean? So, but I've never disagreed with that.
The thing is, as well, I want to say, VAR hasn't just affected Liverpool. It hasn't just affected Spurs. It has affected every team over the course of the season.
100%. Well, it looks like it's affected Wolves massively.
Yeah. The reason why we're talking about Spurs and Liverpool is because we support Spurs and Liverpool. It's happened to every team.
Yeah, I agree. So are we both? See you later, Kieran.
Cheers, Kieran. Thanks, pal. We'll see you Sunday, mate. Cheers.
Us as fans, we would rather it go back to just referees. It's not going to happen. We both know that. But are we both in agreement that
go.
We want it to go back to just referees.
Yeah. Get rid of it.
Same here. It's not going to happen, though, unfortunately.
And I think, even if there wasn't VAR, I think the standard of refereeing has been absolutely atrocious.
Well, they're relying on VAR. That's the thing. They're relying on the VAR. That's why I think they have got very lazy because they know they can fall back on it. Even linesmen know they can fall back on it. So, it's just one of them things. It's a poor thing, personally. In terms of, I was going to bring up actually something else. In terms of teams that you think might surprise you next season, or teams that you think will be a bit of a dying duck for whatever reason next season. And also, I'd like to discuss, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'd like to discuss Arsenal for a minute, because let's just say, and this is out there, and I know there's a couple of Arsenal supporters in the comments.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you, pal. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, I agree, Kevin, mate. I go to every game and it's painful. Say Arsenal don't win the league next year or win anything. They go another season without winning anything. That would be, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row for Arteta. Or it'd be the I think did he win the FA Cup in his first season? He'd taken over them halfway. But anyway, so they don't win anything. Do you think, and I'm not saying they should, by the way, because I wouldn't, but do you think their fans will start to get a bit restless because of that?
Well, look, I mean, they got restless with him a couple of seasons back, didn't they?
They did. Yeah. And do you think, though, if they say they finish second again, so they've got 3 years in a row where they finish second and they don't win anything, let's say, would you, if you were a supporter, like that was Liverpool, would you think that guy can't get us over the line? What would you think? I don't know. I'm just asking a question.
No. I don't. I think he's doing a good job. I do think he's doing a good job.
I don't disagree with that.
It depends. It depends on the manner of how they finish second. So if they finish second, and again it's to Man City, and they're like a point behind or something like that, then you can't. What can you do? It's Man City.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? It's the manner how they. If it's not Man City, and say like for example, it's. I mean, if they lose and they finish behind Tottenham, then yeah, I think there'll be all hell to pay.
Well, they did finish behind Tottenham for 8 years in a row. It's only been the last 2 that have finished above us. Just want to say that.
I think there will be hell to pay. I think if Tottenham finished higher than Arsenal, I think there could
be questions. Tottenham finished higher than Arsenal 8 seasons before the last 2 seasons.
If they finish 15, 16 points behind first place, I think again questions are going to be asked.
But on another note, do you think there'd be a team? See, I've got a funny feeling. Well, actually, I've changed my view now because of this. But if Chelsea hadn't sacked Pochettino, I actually think Chelsea would be top 4 next year. Now I can't call it because they've got to get getting a new manager in. But I think
Chelsea won't finish top 4. I went for Brighton in top 4 this year. I went for Brighton as top 4. I thought Brighton were going to get top 4.
But what I'm trying to get at, he was just starting to get him tick. Like I don't think they will now because they haven't got Pochettino. But I think he was just starting to get him win. And Cole Palmer is exceptional. He's a massive talent. Like a guy scored like 25 goals, I think, from midfield virtually. So was it 25? Let me have a look. 22 Premier League goals, which is mad, and 11 assists. Unbelievable player. So that's he's an old Man City player, ain't he? So
yeah.
So again, do you think there'd be any surprises? What do you think? How do you think Liverpool are going to do next year? Based on obviously we don't know who they're going to sign. We don't know what teams players are going to sign. So, what's your view on Liverpool next year? Do you think Salah will still be there?
I think they'll finish top 4, but I don't think they'll be challenging for the league.
Do you think Salah will still be there?
No. To be fair, I think he should go.
Okay. What about West Ham? Because I think that's interesting. Getting rid of Moyes. Moyes, I was quite surprised at that. I think they're not a bad team. He's improved them. So what's your feeling on them?
I feel sorry for Moyes because he's won him a European trophy. He's finished in the top.
Barely won.
This season. He's done all right. Did he finish top 10 this season? Where did he finish this year?
Ninth.
Yeah, he's finished in the top 10. So, I mean, he's done all right. He's definitely been punching above his weight. He's not got the budget like most big clubs have done. Does he play the most attractive kind of football? No, he doesn't, but he gets results. And yes, I mean, they've lost some games where you think they could have won and they put in some dodgy performances. But to be fair, I don't think West Ham are a bad side. I think I've always had a soft spot for West Ham.
Oh, no, I don't like them that
since
much.
the 80s. I just like the colour of the kit. And players like Alan Devonshire and all that sort of stuff. We're going back to the 80s. But
I understand if you said Bobby Moore.
Well, no, I don't remember Bobby Moore. But too young.
You sure now?
Yeah, but yeah, it's not a surprise that he's gone because I don't think he got much love from the fans towards the end there.
Okay. So any team, do you think any team's going to be a bit of a surprise package? Do you think Villa will keep up their performance, or do you think they'll drop off? I know we mentioned it at the start. I think Villa will probably drop off.
I think you're right. I think Villa will drop off. I don't think they'll be as good this season. Again, it depends who comes in for their players. I mean, Martin was saying that Liverpool are after that Ollie Watkins. I don't want him. But I think my surprise package...
why don't you want him just out of interest? He's got 19 goals and 13 assists. He's a good player.
No, I don't know. I don't think he's a Liverpool type of player.
Right, so if you could have any striker, obviously Haaland being the top dog, in the Premier League, just go Premier League, or if you know someone outside the Premiership, who would you think would be a good buy for Liverpool? Who would you like?
I absolutely have no idea.
Okay, I think Isaac Newcastle's a very good player. He's young as well, quick. 21 goals. Yeah. He's deadly. I think he'd be very good at Liverpool, but I think he's that kind of player. But
my surprise package next year will be Crystal Palace.
Well, that's only if they keep Eze and Elise. You do realise that.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And what's the other guy? The guy at the back, Gay.
Yeah, he's half decent.
If they lose two of them three or all them three, they might struggle. I think because they're mustard, all three of them players. But
it's mad. Look at manager takes over buying the Championship manager. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we mentioned that. That's a strange one. Yeah. And so what else? Des has saying he'd love Son at Liverpool. I personally, I don't think it would happen. It wouldn't happen because of the age. Son's 32, to be honest, or 31. He's too old now.
Who's 32? Son.
Yeah, Son.
See, he would have been a good buy for Liverpool, but I'd like you say he's just getting on to.
No, the problem is Levy was quoted as saying pretty much exclusively he would never sell Son over his dead body because Son generates so much money for Tottenham Like 5,000-6,000 people turn up every game from South Korea because of Son. So like he won't go anywhere. I think they'll stuff him or something and keep him there as a mascot, even when he can't play anymore. So I think that's what will probably happen with him. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Keith, you know, he wasn't the greatest, was he? He didn't have a very good style of football, and I appreciate West Ham want to be playing a better brand of football. But the thing is, you know, he got you a trophy. It's your first trophy for a long time. So, you know, what do you want? Do you want?
No, I kind of agree. By the way, I was agreeing that I don't think, even if Arsenal didn't win anything next year and they finish second, I think you keep him because he's going somewhere with them. They've seen an improvement this year on last year. My point was, there is quite a lot of Arsenal fans who are quite fickle, and I could imagine some of them will get unrest if that was the case. I can imagine it. So
yeah, I would have liked Son at Liverpool, but not now. Not now.
It never happened anyway, unfortunately for you guys.
So Daniel Chart's gone City, Arsenal, United, and Newcastle top 4 next season.
Newcastle, not a chance. United potentially, I agree, could creep back in. City and Arsenal, I think, you've got to probably say, Newcastle, I don't think have got hope in hell. Like they're in. Actually, I lied. They're not in Europe though, are they?
No, they're not.
That might help them because Europe killed them this year, actually. And the season before, they weren't in Europe and they done very well. So yeah, based on that, maybe. But I just don't see them top 4, top 6. Don't see them top 4 at all, personally. No. I think they're a bit too up and down, and they've still got money trouble. They still can't spend very well. So I think it depends. They might have to sell Isaac, mightn't they, to sort out their profit and loss. So, like, if they have to get rid of him, because he's going to be about 70 million quid. Or it's either him or is it Gutierrez? I think he might be off. It's one of them two have got to go. They need to keep Gordon, though. Gordon's a quality player.
Before we go, because we've been going for an hour and a half, so we're going to wrap this up shortly. What about Tottenham? What are your hopes for Tottenham next year?
Well, I think it is based on who they sign, really. I'm confident in the manager because, like we've all said tonight, you've got to give patience to a manager 100%. I think I think he's the right man for the job. So I think it'd be interesting to see if we bring any young players through. So I don't think a lot of people aware of this, but Spurs is under 21s, under 18s, and under 17s team pretty much won everything. So our youth teams are very good. So it'd be interesting to see if we bring some of them through or we loan them out, because that potentially could bear fruits later on. Probably too early for this next season, but that could potentially bear fruits because we have got a very good youth set up. So it depends who we sign, mate. But I would say, me as a fan, I would go all out for a cup, whether it's the League Cup or FA Cup or even Europa, because why wouldn't you go all out for Europa? I think it's winnable. Go all out for one of them cups and then try and finish top 4, top 6. I think top 4 will be hard, but maybe top 6. So
what's that? No. Moyes reached the end of his capabilities. He couldn't take us any further with his low block cobblers. When we attack, we look deadly. Yeah,
Tim wants to jump in here. I mentioned this result earlier, so I don't know why he wants me to mention it again. So it's when Fulham beat Spurs on penalties at Craven Cottage because we bloody put out a stupidly weak team. So yeah. But to be fair, I like Fulham. I've given you enough praise tonight, Timothy, about your team. So, I
don't know. I mean, look,
I think you're wrong there, Daniel. I think you're wrong there, Daniel. What the Premier League 2 team, Spurs won it. I think the under 18s or under 19s United won it. I think or is it under 21s? There's so many different leagues. So the Premier League 2, I think, was won by Spurs. And then the under 21s might have been Man U, but our under 19s and 18, won their respective leagues. But there is different leagues. But trust me, I watched the final last week. Spurs definitely, they won the league and then they won the playoffs after. So that was the Premier League 2, I think, which is what is now reserve teams, isn't it?
Tim's giving you some still. He's giving you some, mate.
No, the Premier League Cup. What does he mean by the Premier League Cup? I don't even know. See, that's a different... Yeah, I think that's the under-21s. It's not the Premier League 2. The Premier League Cup. Oh, yes, yeah. That's another thing, though. That was... Well, yeah, that is the Premier League 2 competition, but we won the league. There's loads of different. Trust me, I know we did. So, but yeah, that was the cup version of it. So, the Premier League 2 have their own cup, I think, like the FA Cup, similar sort of thing. And yes, we did lose to Fulham. So, yes, I know that.
So, where can you see yourself finishing in the league then, Tottenham, next year?
I said top 6. I think we've got aim for, but we've got to go all out for a cup. That's our thing.
Do you think do you think you're not good enough to crack top 4?
It depends who we sign, mate. I don't think on the current teams. If all the current teams started again next season the way they are now with no signings, no. I think we need more signings. However, no, we did win the Premier League 2. I know we did. I've just Googled it, G-Force. So it's the FA Cup version of the Premier League 2 that Fulham won. But we won the league, and then you go into a playoff. It's very weird how they do Premier League 2. I'll send you the links later, G-Force. Trust me. I know what we won. So and I can even tell you the scorers. The guy who won the Premier League 2 Player of the Season last season, Will Lancashire, scored 2 in the final against Sunderland's under-21s. So, yeah. Premier League 2. But yeah, I think it'd be. I hold no bones about it. I think we need to sign players, and I think that will go for a lot of teams. I think Man U need to clear out and get some players in. I think Chelsea might need to sort something out there. I think Villa will need to buy extra players if they're going to be playing in the Champions League. The only teams I think are pretty good for players, weirdly, are probably Man City and Arsenal. Like Arsenal will get that Timber back. Yes, I'll get on to Tim's comment in a minute about Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore is probably the best prospect in Europe, or if not the world at the moment. He's 16. But, I think if Timber comes back for Arsenal and stuff like that, I think they're the only team that don't really need to sign. They probably need to sign a striker, but they probably don't need to sign many players. Same with Man City. I don't think they'll need to sign many. But I think every other team is going to need to strengthen, whether it be Liverpool, whether it be Spurs,
Liverpool. Salah's been fantastic, what he's done for the club, but I think it's time he moved on, because it's going to be the last chance we get of getting any money for him if he does go. So that can go into building the squad again. I want a striker that can actually score goals. I think the chances Nunes missed this season was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That was quite surprising, should we say? He gets in the position, though. You can't knock him, but honestly, I genuinely can't believe some of the chances he missed. Like, honestly, was it against Crystal Palace? He could have scored a hat-trick in the game.
Yeah.
He should have scored a hat-trick.
I mean, Salah was guilty of that as well. I mean, he wasn't the same since he came back from the AFCON. He wasn't the same player. I think we need to strengthen in the midfield again. We've got some youngsters in there, like Harvey Elliott. Is he going to get more game time next season? Who knows? Again, but they're all playing for a new manager. He might have his own ideas and get players in, But I'm hoping for top 4. I'm hoping that they can challenge for the league. But
I would expect Liverpool to be top 4 personally. I agree. I think challenging for the league with a change of manager might be difficult unless they get a massive bounce. But I would expect Liverpool to be challenging, being top 4. So,
Keith Guppy in the house. Hello, sir. How are you?
Just highlight Tim's comment because that is true. A minute. That guy, remember that name. He's unbelievable. Plays for England under 17s or 18s at the moment. He played 12 games last season for Spurs. He got 14 goals and 10 assists or something. He's ridiculous. He's something stupid, like off the charts. Like he is a ridiculous player. He's already been on the bench a few times for Spurs. I think he got a minute or two against Man City.
What's this? Nunes is a donkey. I saw his first game for Liverpool. Oh dear. Yeah, he is. I mean, yeah. I mean, he puts the effort in, but he just can't score, can he? Sean Lacey, Jack Fletcher, and I remember those names.
Yeah, I look at a lot of the youth teams, to be honest, and I do pay attention to a lot of the youth setups and stuff like that.
Well, I didn't know that, Keith. Keith's a Liverpool fan, so good man.
Oh, really?
Anyhow,
I used to like Keith.
I still do. I like him even more
and
now.
I also didn't know he was Mando number 5 as well. So I'm glad he's put Keith Guppy there now, because I didn't realise that was him before.
Yeah.
So,
neither did I, actually, to be honest with you. Neither did I.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I think we're going to wrap it up now. We've been going nearly was that an hour?
I've got to get up early. I'm going to Enfield Toy Fair tomorrow.
Oh, yeah? No, I was supposed to be going to work, but they cancelled it today. So I'm absolutely delighted by that. So breakfast in bed for me tomorrow morning. Whoop-de-whoop. Awesome stuff. Bagels and coffee. Love that. Right, guys, yeah. I just want to say a massive thank you to the guys in the chat for watching. Again, it's just something totally different other than Toy Talk. So it's not going to be the norm. We're not going to be doing this on a regular basis. We might do another one at the beginning of the season or like mid-season or something like that. We'll see. But just want to say a massive thank you. Massive thank you to Adam for doing this. He was the one who kind of like forced me to do it and said, don't go all Spursy on me and bottle it, will you? So I was like, okay.
Yeah,
so
you didn't want to do it, did you? At all?
I didn't want to do it. I did not want to do it. I'll be honest, I didn't want to do it. But I'm glad we did. But you guys you're going to get to see Adam again on Sunday because we got the movie quiz on Sunday.
Bloody hell. I might put a mask on. I feel like people can get fed up on my face. I might put a mask on.
Yeah, please. I'm getting fed up with your face. But yeah, no, I was only joking.
Anyhow, about that.
Let's just catch up with the chat. Good chat. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers, G-Force. Appreciate that, mate. Great chat. Always good to talk football. Have a lovely weekend. Yeah, and we'll see you Sunday, Des. Cheers, pal. Thank you.
Laughing at Dan's comment.
That's my new.
That's
my new channel. Oh yeah, awesome, Keith. Yeah, because you were awesome stuff. So Keith's going to be
nice
launching a channel. Fantastic stuff.
I love the next comment. Cracked me up.
Yeah, look, he will be missed. No doubt about it. And I don't think it's just for Liverpool. I think football's going to miss him. The Premier League's going to miss him. But there you go. Great stream. Thank you very much, TJC. Appreciate that, Keith. Nice one, mate. Thank you. See you all Sunday. Yes, indeed.
Masked quiz.
The masked quizzer. Absolutely. Great chat, lads. Thank you so much, Tim. Really appreciate it, mate. Anyhow, take care, stay safe, and we shall see you Sunday, 8 p.m. UK time. Bye for now.